Let's be real. Are you tired of being constantly overwhelmed? You know what needs to be done, but your mind is just full of noise, worry, and endless to-do lists. It's not just a broken routine. It's a paralyzed mind. You try to focus on one thing, but 100 other thoughts pull you away, and the result is total confusion. This constant internal chatter is the #1 killer of discipline today. The big lie is that more information equals more success. The truth, according to Miyamoto Musashi, is the opposite. True power comes from elimination. You don't need more discipline. You need less internal noise. You need a simple, brutal code that cuts through anxiety and tells you exactly what to do next. I'm going to give you the exact 8 samurai habits that Miyamoto Musashi used to turn mental chaos into automatic, focused action. Here's the counterintuitive promise. By embracing these simple, repetitive habits, you'll stop trying to be disciplined and start being discipline itself. If you're ready to trade anxiety for unshakable mental clarity, pay close attention. If you felt the weight and truth of this knowledge, and you're ready to trade mental overload for the focused life of a master, then you already know what to do. Subscribe here to the channel. We are building this project together. Every person who joins strengthens this community and helps us take this deep knowledge, this Miyamoto Musashi-inspired discipline, to other men who desperately need to cut the noise and take control of their lives. Your click is your vote for the path to mastery. Oh, and if the hype button shows up for you, view that as your first act of simple, powerful action. Clicking it is a way to make this project reach further. YouTube created that feature specifically to give a boost to those who are starting out, and you can be a part of that victory. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it there right now? I want to know where the ambitious people are who are applying these habits to trade anxiety for unshakable mental clarity in their own lives. Level 0, human weakness. Let's be honest. You've been there. You have those moments when you feel utterly weak, not physically, but mentally. You know exactly what you should do, but you just don't. That feeling of inertia, of being paralyzed by your own thoughts and emotions, is what I call level 0, human weakness. It's the starting point for 99% of people, and it's characterized by the constant reliance on the fleeting emotion of motivation. The problem isn't that you're fundamentally lazy, it's that you're structurally fragile. You're trying to build a fortress on a foundation of shifting sand. You chase the motivational high of a new video or a new book, and when that feeling evaporates, which it always does, your commitment evaporates with it. That's because you haven't built a system to withstand the inevitable down moments. This is why most people fail to develop lasting habits. They treat their goals like a mood rather than a commitment. If you can't rely on your mood, which is always changing, what exactly can you rely on to keep moving forward, even when you feel like quitting? If you can't rely on your mood, you must rely on your master. And your master isn't a person, it's discipline. This is the core truth you must internalize. Discipline is your master. It's the framework, the structure, and the code you follow, regardless of whether you feel motivated, sick, tired, or inspired. It's what separates the amateur who wishes for success from the warrior who builds it. For Miyamoto Musashi, discipline wasn't a choice. It was the path itself. He didn't ask himself if he felt like training. He simply trained. Think of discipline as your foundation. You wouldn't build a skyscraper on a weak foundation and expect it to survive a storm, right? Your goals, your skyscraper, will collapse at the first sign of pressure if they aren't anchored by non-negotiable habits. The power of making discipline your master is that it makes your life simple. It removes the exhausting internal debate about whether or not to start. You stop being the master of your mood and become the servant of the system. But how do you start building that reliable, unshakable system? It starts with the very first act of your day. Habitone, the blade that sharpens the day. The first practical step to building a system of discipline is with habit 1, the blade that sharpens the day. For Miyamoto Musashi, his sword wasn't just a weapon. It was a symbol of his focus. He didn't start the day with what was easy. He started with the most important, most difficult work, the one thing he would do perfectly, no matter what happened. In modern terms, this is eating the frog. But for Musashi, it was simply sharpening the blade of his attention before the sun was even fully up. In your life, sharpening the blade means aggressively attacking your most important task, MIT, before the world and its distractions wake up. Don't check your email. Don't look at your phone. Don't engage in small talk. Dedicate the first hour of your day to your most challenging activity. For example, if your goal is financial stability, dedicate that time to reading The Intelligent Investor or planning your budget. Why is this so powerful? Because by winning the morning battle, you build a powerful momentum of success that extends throughout the entire day. You prove to yourself that you are in control. If you can handle the hardest thing first, the rest of the day feels easy. But to make this work, you need a daily ritual to launch this activity consistently. Habit 2, the morning rite of a samurai. Most people let their mornings happen to them. They wake up and immediately react to their phone, to the news, or to their kids. The samurai, however, understood that the morning is sacred. That's habit 2, the morning rite of a samurai. It's a small, precise set of actions that you perform before the external world can invade your focus. It's your internal victory parade. This rite is a powerful expression of discipline. It's not about complex yoga poses or journaling for an hour. It's about creating a non-negotiable sequence that you adhere to every single day, no matter what. For example, your rite could be 5 minutes of stretching, 5 minutes of silent breathing, and reading 1 page of a difficult book. That's it. Simple, clear, and powerful. The power of this Miyamoto Musashi-inspired ritual is that it puts you in command. You are training your mind to prioritize your agenda over the world's demands. By performing your rite, your small, sacred act, you prove to yourself that you are a person of commitment. But how do you sustain this commitment when the results you want are nowhere in sight? Habit 3, desire nothing beyond the path. The biggest killer of consistent discipline is impatience, that constant mental state of desiring a result other than the one you are currently earning. You're performing task A, but your mind is fixated on the outcome, result Z. This is why habit 3 is desire nothing beyond the path. For Miyamoto Musashi, the act of training was the purpose itself. He taught that attachment to the result, the victory, the fame, the reward, actually makes you weak. Why? Because if the outcome doesn't go your way, your entire structure of habits collapses because the core purpose was external. When the purpose is the path, your focus is unshakable, regardless of the score. You apply this by changing your internal narrative. When you sit down to work on your toughest goal, don't say, "I'm doing this so I can get rich." Say, "I am performing the discipline of work today." This strips the work of its emotional volatility, making the action lighter, more consistent, and much more sustainable. But if the work is simple, consistent action, why do we need to talk about years of practice? Habit 4, the strength of 1,000 days of practice. The immediate results you crave are a myth. True transformation, the kind that makes you a master, not just a beginner, requires a profound, almost spiritual commitment to time. This is habit 4, the strength of 1,000 days of practice. Miyamoto Musashi didn't think in terms of weeks or months. He spoke of the 1,000-day path to mastery and the 10,000-day path to revelation. Why 1,000 days? Because it's long enough to humble your ego and kill your impatience. It strips away the illusion of the quick fix and forces you to confront the reality that greatness is merely the cumulative result of small, consistent efforts. Your discipline isn't measured by the quality of one heroic effort, but by the relentless showing up over those 3 years. Think about the skill you want to master. If you're a developer, you won't become great after 10 tutorials. You become great after 1,000 days of coding, debugging, and building. If you want to invest, it's about making your monthly contribution for 1,000 days. This habit is your shield against the fear of slow progress. You simply commit to the path, knowing that the strength you seek is built not in intensity, but in the relentless passage of time. But what is the biggest internal threat to this long-term commitment? Habit 6, vigilance against the inner enemy. If you want your discipline to last, you have to realize that your biggest enemy isn't external. It's the voice of self-sabotage lodged inside your head. This is habit 6, vigilance against the inner enemy. For Miyamoto Musashi, the true warrior maintains a constant watch. Knowing that complacency, or the thought, "You deserve a break today," is the most dangerous infiltration. This vigilance isn't about fighting every negative thought. It's about observation. You act as a sentinel, identifying the moment an excuse tries to creep into your system. When your mind says, "Skip your habits today," you're tired, you don't argue with it. You simply recognize the thought and immediately return to your action. This micro act of choosing the system over the mood is where all true discipline is built. It's the difference between being a victim of your feelings and being the master of your actions. It ensures that the strength built over your 1,000 days of practice isn't destroyed by one moment of weakness. But what happens when the pressure comes not from within, but from uncontrollable external forces? Habit 7, the discipline that survives chaos. This is the 7th of the samurai habits, and it's the supreme test of your system, the discipline that survives chaos. Most people can be consistent when life is easy, when the routine is smooth and calm. But the true warrior, like Miyamoto Musashi, proves his worth in the middle of an unpredictable battle. Your discipline shouldn't depend on calm. It must emerge from the storm. When chaos strikes, a family emergency, a massive work deadline, an unexpected financial blow, the amateur throws away the entire system. The warrior, however, knows that this is precisely when the core habits are most vital. You don't aim for the full 100% effort. You aim for your minimum standard of excellence. If you can't meditate for 15 minutes, you do 2 minutes of deep breathing. If you can't write 500 words, you write one single sentence. The power of this habit is in the psychological victory. By maintaining the chain, even in a minimal way, you tell your subconscious that your commitment to your routine is non-negotiable, regardless of the circumstances. It solidifies your identity as someone who always shows up. When you master this, you have one final samurai. Habit left to complete the journey. Habitite, the death of inconsistency. After mastering the 7 previous habits, from sharpening the blade to surviving chaos, you reach the final goal, the death of inconsistency. This doesn't mean you'll never make a mistake again, but it means that inconsistency is no longer an option or a part of your identity. It's a state you have transcended. For Miyamoto Musashi, mastery was the elimination of the unnecessary. Inconsistency is unnecessary. When your habits are unbreakable, your mind no longer needs to spend energy deciding. The action is automatic. You don't try to be disciplined. You are discipline in human form. It's like the death of your old self, the one who depended on motivation. Your identity merges with your habits. You don't say, "I'm trying to be a programmer." You say, "I'm a programmer who codes for 1 hour every morning." This simple declaration changes the game, because failing one day is no longer a failure of a task, but a violation of your identity. And that, for a warrior, is unacceptable. But what remains when you become this consistency? What remains after you become disciplined? What remains is the invisible legacy of the eternal path. Real success isn't what people see, the money, the title, but who you became through the habits that no one saw. The true mastery of Miyamoto Musashi was his unshakable mental strength, which he cultivated in solitude. Your discipline is your greatest asset, and it's invisible to the crowd. It manifests in your ability to keep calm under pressure. Habit 7, to make clear decisions and to return to the path after a mistake. This is what you leave behind. It is the proof that you honored your potential. A warrior's life has no finish line. The ultimate goal is the journey itself, the consistency of your practice. The reward is your character forged in the daily rite. Your legacy is your silent discipline, which inspires others without needing words. You've just received the mental war map of Miyamoto Musashi, the 8 samurai habits to master discipline. You've seen that the problem isn't your failure, level 0, but your reaction to it. True strength lies in habit 7, the discipline that survives chaos, knowing that you always can return to center. Now, the crucial question isn't what you learned, but what you will apply immediately. What is the breaking point of your routine? Is it the morning, where you need habit 1, the blade that sharpens your day? Or is it anxiety, which you can annihilate with habit 5, silence as a battlefield? It would be an insult to Miyamoto Musashi's legacy to close this video and return to being a slave to your old excuses. What is your first act of consistency that will signal to your brain that the cycle of inconsistency is over? Leave a comment and make an oath to yourself. I will apply habit X today. If you are serious about building an unbreakable routine, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The warrior's path is eternal, and we will walk it together.